Hey everybody, we got snow overnight. I want to go take a walk, but I need a neck warmer. And I have been meaning to make a fleece neck warmer for so long now. Now that we have winter weather, it is time to do it. I'm going to do it right now in just a few minutes before we go on our walk. It is that quick and easy. I'm going to show you how easy it is to do. Okay, so to make this cowl, I chose polar fleece, and that is this type of fabric that is fuzzy and a little bit thicker than normal. So fleece generally, unless there's like a print on it, you really can't tell what is the right side and the wrong side. I know that this is the right side because it was cut off the bolt and folded like that. Also because this little selvage hem is rolling towards the inside. So I don't really stress about it. If you literally can't tell what is the right and wrong side as you are sewing, then what does it matter once you have the project completed? Okay, so I am going to cut two different pieces, and they are going to be, let's see, I am going to do it about 6 inches wide. That's because I don't like really tall cowl or neck warmers. So you can go like up to 8 inches. This is actually customizable. You can do whatever you want. It's not going to mess up the project. And then I'm going to cut a length, this is not big enough, but I'm going to cut a length of 24 inches. And I'm going to do that between the selvages along this line. And let me show you why that's important. Okay, so this is like the long way of the fabric selvage and selvage edge. If you try pulling on this along the width, it's not really pulling too much. You see that? Now, if you do it along this really long length between the selvages, can you see how much easier that pulls? Way stretchier. And that's what you want the stretchy part to be around your neck so that you can get it over your head easily. So that is why I am making sure to do the length between the selvages this way rather than across the fabric like that. Let's see, we're going to put those on top of each other, right sides together, and then stitch along the seams. I'm going to use about a 1/2 inch seam allowance, stitching all the way along the long portions and leaving these short edges open. Honestly, you can just do one big one and fold it in half. It is literally that simple. So take whatever height it is. In my case, it was going to be 6 inches, and I just doubled that to be 12 inches, still kept the same length of 24, just folding it in half. That gives you one less seam to sew. You need to switch it to a zigzag stitch. That is because zigzag stitching allows for movement and more stretching, and since this is something that you are probably going to be stretching over your head, you do want to allow for some of that, otherwise your stitches might pop. Now that we have this tube that is sewn, you're going to turn it inside out. All right, and so that way the right sides will be on the outside, and you've got this long tube. Okay, so the next thing that you're going to do is you're just going to like fold the tube in half, match up those seams. I only have one seam to match up because I folded it in half and therefore didn't have 2 different seams to sew. But if you have 2 different seams, then match up both of those. And I'm going to clip these because I have found that doing this, that the fabric is tending to like slide a little bit. So I'm just going to go ahead and clip that. So what you are going to do right now is that you're just going to sew along these cut edges, and you're going to do that almost all the way around. You're going to continue to use that zigzag stitching so that you have some give, but you're just going to match up this fabric, and it's going to be like you're only going to be able to do a couple inches, and you're going to have to readjust, and this is going to kind of get twisted in there. But trust the process. So just do that a little bit somewhere along the matching up of these circular seams. As you do that, you want to leave a little bit of a gap, just about like that. And you'll go back and finish that off later. I wanted to hop in. The next day, I also made this project, and I found a simpler way of doing this. After you turn the tube with the right sides out, then turn it back over itself so the right sides are facing together and the wrong sides are out. This is going to allow you to match up the seams on the top, just like in the other method. Then continue sewing just like in the other method. Be sure to leave a gap to turn it inside out afterwards. So after matching up these seams, this is what it looks like. I've got that zigzag stitching there. This looks like a hot mess. I mean, like, this just looks like an absolute hot mess. But again, trust the process. So I'm just going to kind of pull the fabric, just straighten it out a little bit. And now you can instantly see you've got that neck warmer size. So I'm going to straighten it out just a little bit more. All right. So I'm going to come back here and you can see that hole. So what we have is this opening, and you just want to close this and you are done with this project. So kind of just squeeze the fabric. It's already kind of going that way on its own. I'm going to clip it just while I'm talking because, again, this kind of moves on its own. Now I want to point out that I did backstitch at the beginning and end of this just because it kind of strengthens the seam. So you can come through and you can hand stitch this with needle and thread if you'd like. That way you can do more of an invisible closure. A ladder stitch would be perfect for this. That is not what I'm going to do because this seam is going to be on the inside of the neck, so I'm not really worried about it showing. I'm going to switch to just a straight stitch. I'm not going to zigzag. And I'm going to sew this closed just along the top. I'm not going to keep the normal seam allowance of 3/8 of an inch or 1/2 inch. I'm just going to top stitch right on top to close this. You bring this over to the sewing machine to stitch it. Just kind of like pull the neck warmer apart and just stitch right here. You don't want to accidentally stitch like multiple layers together as you're doing that. So just be sure that you only have those 2 pieces of fabric in there before you put it under the presser foot and start sewing. Okay, so this is the seam that I sewed. Now, upon looking at it, you might think that, oh, that sticks out too much. Trust me, don't worry about it, because you can just turn the neck warmer inside out, and this is how you can wear it. So just flatten that out. I would not iron this because polyester is like not a fabric that is, or a fleece is not necessarily a fabric that you necessarily need to iron. Use a very low iron if you're going to choose to do that, otherwise it could melt. But now you see what the neck warmer looks like, and this is the seam on the outside, and then I put that that top stitch seam on the inside now. Okay, so here is the finished product. I actually really love it. So I did 6 inches tall because I hate things being like really around my neck. I just, which is ironic for making a cowl neck wrap. But this is like just enough to keep your neck warm without necessarily needing it to be so tall that it would cover half of your face. This also really couldn't be like doubled over, which some people like to do that. I do not. So again, this size is 6 inches tall and 24 inches wide. Okay, I'm hopping in really quick. This is the next day, and I decided to make some of these for my neighbor. And I made one that was 8 inches tall rather than the 6 inches. And I wanted to show you in comparison what it looks like. So a little bit higher. It would cover my nose if I wanted it to. And to put things in reference, I am 5'3", so just to give you a little bit of a size dimension, there is no right or wrong measurements to be making these. It's all about you, and as you make them, you will figure out what the size is that works best for you. But this is so toasty warm, so I am gonna go walk and enjoy the snow. Hope you find this sewing project easy as well. Let me know in the comments below. Take care, everybody.